Hey everybody, welcome to this impromptu webinar, a quick masterclass about resilience in children. So the reason why this is important to talk about right now is because in about 3 weeks' time, everyone's going back to school. And if there is ever a time when we see an upsurge in the inquiries coming in to an LP for kids, it's the start of September because for some it's school transition time. So they have the anxiety around going to a brand new environment with brand new teachers, brand new friends, a brand new journey to school. Like all of these things can create um, worries that they are sometimes conscious of and worries that sometimes are completely unconscious. They just feel worried and they haven't quite put the pin in exactly what the issue is just yet. For some, they are not transitioning to a new school. They are just, working their way up their current school, which might mean a new teacher that they are anxious about, legitimately, or it might be a teacher that they're anxious about because they just haven't had many touch points with that teacher, so they don't know, what to expect. And it's the uncertainty that's causing that anxiety to start peaking. And for others, they just don't like school. And so they can get themselves in a state, and sometimes it's anxiety, and sometimes it's just resistance towards going back. Sometimes it's just that pushback because through the summer, their nervous system gets to reset, right? Their nervous system gets to return to a baseline that is natural. It's their natural state because they are free and they are playing and they are probably, hopefully, being quite sociable and exploring the world and all of the things that they're actually designed to do. But what school asks them to do is to go back into a role that they are trained for and not naturally designed for. Like as human beings, just across the board, we are not designed to spend the vast majority of our working day in one room, in one chair, looking at one screen or one person. That's not what we're made for, right? So we're asking them to sort of go against nature and to act in a way for a significant period of time, not just the days and weeks, but the term, where they are doing the opposite to what they naturally feel inclined to do, and throughout the summer, they've been able to do the things that they naturally feel more inclined to do. They've been allowed to play. They've been allowed to just live more freely. And that freedom is about to be taken away from them when they come back to school in September. So I'm not going to talk to you about resilience today, about anxiety today, which is probably a sort of go-to subject area around this. I'm actually going to talk to you about resilience because resilience is the thing that we need when you are down, like feeling like you have got kicked in the guts. It's the thing that makes you get back up again. And so it's resilience that is going to enable these children and young people to push through, even though their senses are telling them to like hang back, stay home, don't go, and to not follow through on what it is that we're asking them to do, which is to go back to school with their head held high and a smile on their face. So to guide me through this, I do have some slides. So give me one moment whilst I set these up for us. Here we go. And let me just move the window over here. Okay, so here's what we're looking at today. Practical tools to help children recover faster from setbacks, mistakes, and failures. That's what resilience is all about. Now, the reason why this is important in the context of going back to school is because you can anticipate, like if your child is prone to meltdowns, you can anticipate that you're probably facing a few of these in the coming weeks. And so when that happens, this is about preparing ourselves to deal with it rather than hoping it doesn't happen. All right, we're going to get ahead of this problem before it starts to spiral. into a really uncomfortable place. And if it does spiral into an uncomfortable place, we're going to pick ourselves up super quick so that we can move on and get back into the groove of being in school as quickly as humanly possible. All right, so let's talk about why resilience matters. Let me give you an example of two different children. All right, same scenario. So let's even imagine these are two kids in the same family. So they've kind of had the same upbringing, they live in the same environment, but they're different because they're different people. All right. So they're going to think about stuff in slightly different ways. We have both of them experiencing a challenge in their life, and they both have exactly the same challenge. In fact, let's say it's the challenge of going to school. Neither of them want to go. And worst of all, you've got two of them and they're backing each other up on this plan not to go into school. We've also got both of them generally not being very emotionally robust when it comes to challenging things like, I don't know, losing at a game or recovering quickly after they've hurt themselves. All right, they're both not great in these sorts of areas. But one of them kind of hangs on to the pain associated to these things and continues to labor over that thing. They keep mulling it over. And the other one gives it another go, like pushes through, gets up after they've fallen down, tries to go to school again the next day, gives it their best shot, and keeps giving things a go, even when they are failing. All right. So they both have the same, let's say, the same failure level. They're both rubbish at snakes and ladders. They both struggle with going into school. They both get sick, both exactly the same in that way. But one of them keeps mulling over the what's gone horribly wrong, and the other one gives it a go afterwards, right? They keep giving it another shot. Now, does fortune favor the bold? Maybe, maybe not. Like they might still keep getting beat down in equal proportion. But what we're going to see from the one who always goes back and gives things another shot is that ability to step back up and keep moving forward, that bounce back ability, which is not a real word, but just work with me. That ability to keep bouncing back is what is going to give them grit. So think about it this way. We all have to go through rough stuff in life. Like that's just life. It's going to throw rough stuff at us. But if you are someone who doesn't handle that rough stuff, you never get a thick skin, right? So you don't get resilient to it. You could literally even think about this, and I've said this before, but literally think about it on a skin level, right? You only get calluses on your hands, you only get thick skin on your hand if you are dealing with rough stuff and then you go back to it and you deal with it again the next day and you go back to it again, you deal with it the next day. I remember my younger cousin learning to play the guitar. And for anyone here who plays the guitar, you know that, like if you go to a person who plays a guitar and you feel the tips of these fingers here, they won't be soft because over the years of guitar playing, these fingers, the skin here has got hardened to account for moving around the strings and pushing on those strings. Like when you first practice with playing the guitar, your fingers hurt. Like they're really sore afterwards because you start out with soft skin and then over time, where you keep interacting with these strings, your skin starts to get harder. You are developing a thick skin and you are developing not just mental, but physical resilience. Your skin starts to get that physical resilient barrier towards the skin. So it's the same thing on that emotional level when it comes to being able to do tough stuff. You can keep getting hit, but your bounce back ability and willingness to keep going back and giving things another shot and another shot and another shot is what ultimately develops your resilience. That's the thing that gives you the thick skin And then you are better prepared for other tough stuff that comes along later. So if we're looking at these two different kids, which one of them is going to be the one who ultimately becomes successful, braver, is able to do more stuff in the future, recovers faster? It's going to be the one who keeps going back and giving things another shot rather than continuing to mull over the problem. And this is part of the reason why, as a supportive influence in a young person's life, it's really important that once you have identified the problem, you don't keep living there. You don't keep talking about it, focusing on it, anticipating it, because if you do, what ends up happening is you sort of stay in the cycle of the problem. Whereas if you go, well, we know there's a problem, but we're going to do a thing anyway, we're still going to give it another shot. That's what helps the resilience build, and it helps things to move forward. So this is going to be important for reasons relating to academic success. You know, if you fail at your test and then all you do is think about the fact that you failed at your test, you're going to get really low self-esteem. If you failed at your test and you take the test again, and you fail again, and you take the test again, you fail again, you take the test again, you keep learning and you keep improving, that's where your resilience is going to come from. The next time you fail a test, it's not going to break your heart because you've got used to those failures happening. You know, from an entrepreneurial perspective, there's a rule which is fail hard and fast. Like if you're going to fail, you want it to be a big enough learning experience, so it's a hard failure, but you also want it to come around quickly. You don't want your failure to be slow because that uses up loads of time. All right, so we are also looking at how resilience can help us from a mental health perspective, because if we have more resilience, we are likely to be able to be less affected by adversity, which means that our self-esteem and our confidence can hold itself at a higher level, even in challenging circumstances. And overall life outcomes will improve when you have greater levels of resilience. If you have low level resilience, then life will keep throwing difficult stuff at you because life wants you to learn, right? Life wants you to get stronger and tougher so you can deal with bigger problems and greater challenges. That's how you grow, right? Is by taking on bigger, more empowering stuff. So resilience isn't about avoiding discomfort. It's actually the absolute opposite. It's about bring it on and then dealing with it, moving through it so that you start to develop that thicker skin. Okay, so here's what resilience actually is. It's about psychological elasticity. What we